All right, guys, we are back this week. This week's video is going to entail getting these 10 50-foot deep layer mulch compost beds built. A couple episodes ago, you saw my wife and I install these 20 by 50 tarps. What we did is we had a cool weather cover crop in here. I mowed it and scalped it down to the ground. I incorporated that cover crop in with the rototiller to get them mustards deep inside of that soil. We put these tarps on here to get the inoculation process started, so we'll get good biomass breakdown. We'll have a good bed to put our deep layer mulch compost in here, and then have a lot of nutrients to feed our vegetables and plants going into the future. But first, what I need to do is I need to get these tarps out of here. Now, just a little bit of what I'm doing is I'm a couple days ahead of time. I hate it when you move or when you go help a buddy move and he says, hey, it's just going to take a couple hours. You show up and he hasn't even packed yet.
Amen.
So what I try to do when I ask people to volunteer time on the farm to help me out, I try to get the smaller projects done that I can by myself. So when people show up, we can actually get the meat and potatoes done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these tarps folded up, and then I'm going to show you how I want to lay out these beds. Two people at this job would be a little easier because you could actually pull the ends instead of having to hop back and forth, but it may take a little bit longer. But you just get this kind of squared up a little bit, it's easy to do. So just takes a little bit extra muscle. All right, guys, we got the 5 50-foot beds built behind the camera there, and we're going to start working on the final 5 beds that we've got here. What I've got is I just kind of wanted to go over with you the system that I'm using here. What I've made is I've took a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe, and I just set this at 30 inches. And the reason why I use 30 inches is because a standard market garden bed is 30 inches wide. By no means is this the textbook or what you need to make it as. You can make it as short or as wide as you want. I use the standard 30-inch beds because it's something I can stand over the top of and plant lettuce or plant any kind of crops into. As you can see here, I've got it cut to the 30, and I've got it written on here so it reminds me that this is a 30-inch stick. I've got 18, 16, and 12-inch widths on this stick, and these are for walkway or for planting, anything you want to use. We do a standard 18-inch walkway here. That gives me plenty of path that I could walk and carry totes or anything like that I need to into this high tunnel to do some harvesting or seed starting trays to plant with. Remember, I've got landscaping fabric on both sides of this tunnel to keep the weeds out, and it's about a 16 to 18 inches in on this high tunnel. Just kind of depends on where you guys place that fabric. So my first 2 walkways, what I like to do is I like to make those paths a little bit shallower than I do the center. So you may have a 15-inch or a 16-inch walkway on your first path, depending on the width of your fabric. And then from there, we'll do a standard 18-inch walkway. I've got stakes put into the ground here. That's going to set my paths. So what I'll do is I'll take my 30-inch path here and I will lay it on the ground. And I know from the edge of my landscaping fabric right here to my first stake is 30 inches. So I know this will be our first bed. So we've got buckets of compost here ready to go. We're going to dump this compost, and then we will have our standard 16 to 18-inch path here, and then we'll move the string over and just piggyback each one of them, and then we'll set our beds from there. All right, guys, we are officially finished with all this compost. We've got 10 50-foot beds of compost laid here. You can see that. So now what we've got to do is we're going to take a little bit of a lunch break, and then we are going to come back and reset these strings, and then we're going to grab a rake, and then we're going to rake these smooth, put the amendments in it, and get it ready for planting. I recommend if you guys could get some friends to help you out with this on a weekend, that would be awesome. This went pretty quick. We actually got all these beds done in probably less than 2 hours, which is pretty amazing because it usually takes me about 35 to 40 minutes per bed by myself. So I'm very grateful to have all these friends here. All right, guys, just me left. Everybody went home for the afternoon. We really killed it today. Got all these beds put in. I'm grateful to have such great friends that I can lean on when I need a little bit of help to get these jobs done. But so what we've got left to do is to finish these beds out is I've got to get my rake, and I'm going to rake these beds flat. We'll start off with this center bed here where I've already got my strings still left here, and what I'm using those strings for, I'm using those strings as an outside boundary from side to side. So when I level that compost out, I can use those strings as a visual guide, and then I will come back and set up the strings on the beds, and then I will pour wood chips in these walkways to help. If you did notice on some of the videos, some of this area is still a little wet, so as we were walking on it, we were kind of stirring that in and making it kind of sloppy. So those wood chips will actually help with keeping that moisture in and giving it a nice walkway to walk on. But you guys follow along. I'm going to go ahead and get one of these beds done, and I've got a lot of work to do. I've got 10 of these 50-foot beds I got to get done today. When you tear up my clothes and you talk about, I am glad I got up to sin. You're a blessing that comes. And it's going to take multiple passes. It's going to take multiple passes for sure to get this completely level. All we're doing is kind of knocking the tops off of it, and that's going to push the compost to either side. And then we'll go back. That's what the strings are for. That way we never lose where the edge of that bed is, so we don't intrude into that walkway. Simple as that. You can make this as simple or as intricate. Every once in a while you're going to run into some clots like this. Just clotted up compost. You can break this up with your hand, just like that. Like I said, you can spend a good afternoon actually kind of relaxing. You put a podcast on, like Bootstrap Farmer Radio or something like that, and listen to it in the background while you're doing work. This is why those 30-inch beds work out so good, because you can actually straddle these beds comfortably and plant down into these beds and then work your way down. But anyway, guys, I think this is where I'm going to leave this one. As you can see, I've got a lot more work to do, so I've got to get busy. Make sure you guys stick with us. The next video, we're going to get into putting some landscape fabric down to get some stuff planted in the ground. And just keep watching us grow. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Once again, if you guys want to check out my other content, you can find me on YouTube at Kansas Garden Guy or on Facebook at Summer Pick Farms.